Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are settling in for a conversation that I really think it's going to feel equal parts like a cosmic truth bomb and a slightly chilling ghost story.
It really is a vibe.
Yeah, we're going to places that are a little bit uncomfortable, maybe a little bit spooky, but ultimately incredibly liberating.
We certainly are. We're looking at a moment in time where the veil between worlds got very thin, and the message that came through was incredibly human, yet terrifyingly vast. It's one of those sessions that just completely stops you in your tracks.
Absolutely. And before we really get into the weeds, I want to start by asking you, and by you I mean the listener, a really honest question. Have you ever wanted something so badly?
Oh, this is the core of it.
Right. Have you ever wanted something so badly, whether it's a specific relationship, a certain job, a house, just a specific outcome, that you felt like your real life simply wouldn't start until you got it?
I think everyone has felt that suspension,
Yeah.
that feeling of waiting. It's a very human trap.
Right. It's that feeling of, I'm just treading water until this one specific thing happens. But today, we're going to look at what happens when that desire morphs into something darker. We're calling this the ultimatum.
The ultimatum, yeah.
It's that moment when you look up at the universe and say, give me this thing or I quit.
Give me this or I will not participate in existence.
Which is heavy.
It is a heavy, heavy topic. It's the ultimate negotiation, but it's a negotiation with reality itself.
It is. So let's set this stage and get the specifics out of the way. We are diving into the Seth Material today.
Yes.
Specifically, we are looking at session 440 of the Early Sessions Book 9 of the Seth Material. And the date of record for this one is October 7th, 1968.
A Monday night in Elmira, New York. You really have to picture the scene here.
Right.
It's the late 60s. A quiet living room, cigarette smoke hanging in the air, and Jane Roberts entering a trance state.
Exactly. And just to get the housekeeping out of the way right up front so we can fully immerse ourselves, we need to declare that this podcast will be distributed free of charge on all major platforms for educational purposes. We are here to learn and explore.
And there's just so much to learn from this one. It's dense.
Really dense.
Oh.
So the mission for this deep dive is pretty specific. We aren't just talking about the nature of reality in a broad general sense today.
Okay.
We are exploring a very specific letter sent to the medium, Jane Roberts, and her husband, Robert Butts. This letter was from a woman named Pat Norelli.
And more importantly, we are going to dissect the entity Seth's response to this letter, because it is a response that is, honestly, it's arguably some of the toughest tough love you will ever hear.
Oh, for sure.
It's not the fluffy, you're doing great, everything is fine, advice we're so used to today.
It's intense. It's really about the fundamental difference between wanting something and making that thing a condition of your existence. So take us back to that Monday night in 1968. What is actually happening in the living room? What is the context of this letter?
So imagine the scene. Jen Roberts, who channels the entity Seth, has received this letter from Pat. Pat is living in Boston at the time. Now, on the surface, Pat's letter is just this bizarre mix of things.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Right. She's got some questions from friends. One friend wants to know about mathematical formula. Another is asking about the Baha'i faith.
Which feels very, I don't know, it feels very distracted. Like, hey, tell me about the profound secrets of the universe, and also, can you solve for X?
Yes.
It feels like intellectual armor.
Precisely. It's clutter. It's deflection.
Yeah.
But underneath all that clutter, there is a screaming crisis going on. And before the session even formally begins, at about 8:55 p.m., Jane gets a psychic flash.
Which happens sometimes before she even goes under.
Exactly. She turns to her husband, Robert, and says, Pat is insisting on using the gift of life in a certain way.
Man, that gives me goosebumps. Pat is insisting on using the gift of life in a certain way. It sounds almost like an accusation, like a prosecutor reading a charge in a courtroom.
Well, it is a diagnosis. When the trance actually begins, Seth, speaking through Jane, completely bypasses the math questions. He ignores the trivia. He ignores the Baha'i question entirely. He goes straight for the jugular. And the atmosphere in the room completely changes.
According to Robert's notes, right?
Yes. The notes say Jane's delivery was fast and usually emphatic. The trance was deep.
And Seth does something really interesting here. He speaks to Robert, who is transcribing, but he addresses him as if he were Pat.
Yes. He's channeling this message directly to the soul of the woman who wrote the letter. It's as if the physical distance between Elmira and Boston doesn't even exist. And he identifies her core struggle immediately. He says she is railing against what she does not have.
Okay, let's unpack that. Railing against what she does not have. What was she so obsessed with? What was the hole she was trying to fill?
Marriage. Male love. She was absolutely consumed by the need to find a husband. She felt that without it, she was just completely incomplete.
Okay, but I mean, that's highly relatable. A lot of people want to get married. A lot of people feel lonely. Why does Seth treat this as a massive metaphysical emergency? Why is this a cosmic issue and not just a lonely Friday night issue?
Because for Pat, it wasn't just a desire anymore. It was a symptom of a much deeper refusal to accept reality. Seth makes a really sharp distinction between the symptom and the cause here. The symptom is the obsession with finding a man. The cause is that she is refusing to accept life on life's terms.
Meaning she's trying to control the script.
She is trying to direct the play. She has decided that the only version of life that is valid, the only one worth living, is the one where she is married. Seth says she is demanding that life follow a consciously predetermined road.
That is such a huge trap, and I think we do this all the time, don't we?
Yeah, coming.
We write the script in our heads. We say, I will be happy when I get the promotion. Or, I will be valid when I lose 10 pounds. But Pat was taking it to an extreme. She was holding her breath.
A very dangerous extreme. Seth says, and this is a quote, "You are saying, unless existence meets my terms, I will not exist."
Whoa, that's the ultimatum right there.
Yes. And he follows that up immediately by saying, no one has the right to so set themselves against their own innate vitality.
Unless existence meets my terms, I will not exist. It's like a spiritual temper tantrum. It's a hostage situation, but she's both the hostage and the hostage taker.
Seth actually uses that exact analogy. He accuses her of pouting and quarreling with reality. He describes her behavior as being like a child in a tantrum who just shatters a glass on the floor out of spite.
I love that image. Though it is slightly terrifying to think about. You imagine this vast cosmic entity looking at a grown woman and basically saying, stop throwing your toys out of the pram.
Yeah.
But it's deeper than just being bratty, right?
It is much deeper. It's an existential threat. Seth implies heavily that she is essentially threatening to destroy herself or shatter the form if she doesn't get what she wants.
Right.
She is holding a gun to her own head and telling the universe, give me a husband, or I pulled the trigger. Now, it might not be immediate physical suicide, but it's a withdrawal of life force. It's a slow fade. She is threatening her own vitality.
And when you put it that way, it sounds insane.
Yeah.
But emotionally, I think people really do get there. They get to that point of despair where they genuinely feel like, if this one thing doesn't happen, I can't go on.
And Seth's response is fascinating because he doesn't coddle her at all. He doesn't say, oh, poor dear, don't worry, the right guy is just around the corner. He challenges her fundamental right to make the threat in the first place. He challenges her audacity to question the life force that animates her.
He brings in this beautiful analogy about a flower here. Can you walk us through that? Because I think this is really the visual anchor of the whole session.
It is. It's one of the most poetic moments in the transcript. Seth says, a flower would not insist upon sunny ground and a preferred spot within the garden as a prerequisite for its own existence.
It is so good.
Right. A flower just blooms. It accepts whatever soil it's planted in. It accepts the weather. It trusts its own vitality. It doesn't fold its leaves and say, well, I'm only going to sprout if I'm guaranteed the absolute front row of the flower bed.
Right. If nature acted like we do, the world would be a complete desert. Just a bunch of seeds saying, I'm not growing unless it's exactly 72 degrees and I get constant compliments.
Exactly. It's the ego attempting to negotiate with the cosmos. We think we know what we need to thrive, so we set these rigid, unbending conditions. But Seth is saying that life itself, the core energy that animates us, doesn't work that way. Life is unconditional. It just wants to flow. When we set conditions, we are building concrete dams against our own life force.
So Pat is sitting in Boston, obsessing over finding a husband. And meanwhile, she's completely ignoring what she actually does have. She's just staring at the empty spot in the garden.
That's the tunnel vision aspect of this whole condition. By focusing entirely on the lack, she becomes completely blind to the abundance around her. Seth actually takes the time to list her blessings for her.
An inventory of sorts.
Yes. He says, look, you have physical health, you have vitality, you have a very good intellect. And he specifically highlights her intuitions.
Which he notes is actually quite rare, right?
Yes. He points out that many are not blessed with these kind of deep intuitions. She has these incredible gifts, but she's ready to just throw them all in the trash because she doesn't have a ring on her finger. She's discounting her own magic because it doesn't look like the specific kind of magic she ordered.
It's the tragedy of the condition. If you say, I can only be happy if X happens, you are actively blocking every other possible form of happiness that is trying to reach you.
And here is the great paradox. This is what Seth calls the secret to success, essentially. He tells her that the condition itself is the very thing preventing the outcome she wants.
Wait, explain that. Because common sense, or at least modern hustle culture, tells us that if you want something, you have to focus on it. You have to obsess over it, manifest it, put it on a vision board.
Seth completely flips that. He says the condition blinds you. The energy of desperation, the energy of I need this to survive actually pushes the thing away. It creates a massive blockage. It signals a fundamental lack of trust in life.
Wow.
He tells her explicitly, once you wholeheartedly accept life on life's terms, then you may indeed find what she is after.
So by stopping the tantrum, by putting down the proverbial gun and just living, she actually becomes magnetic.
Yes, because she enters a state of grace. Seth defines a state of grace simply as the acceptance of life and vitality and joy. When you are in that state, you are open, energy can move through you. When you are in the state of the ultimatum, you are closed, tight, and totally defensive.
I really like that definition of grace. It's not some holy, unreachable, sanctified thing. It's just acceptance. It's relaxing into what is. It's the exhale.
And practically speaking, Seth points out that Pat has immense hidden potential that she's completely neglecting while she's pouting. He says she has spiritual and psychic gifts and a unique ability to reach people, both men and women, particularly through teaching.
But she's misdirecting that energy.
Mhm.
She's trying to funnel it all into one very specific relationship dynamic.
That's exactly it. She feels this massive cosmic love inside her. She feels this surge of universal energy. But because she lives in a conventional society, and because she has these rigid ideas of what success looks like, she tries to narrow that love down. She tries to, as Seth puts it, fasten it upon one individual.
She's trying to funnel the ocean through a garden nose.
Yeah, it is a perfect analogy. She's trying to take this incredibly wide universal love and cram it into the tiny conventional box of marriage. Seth says she's trying to hide herself in one man's arms to make this powerful energy feel safe.
That is chilling. And so true. We are so afraid of our own power, of our own vastness. So we try to domesticate it. We try to turn it into a house cat. We say, if I'm just a wife or just an employee, I don't have to deal with the terrifying reality that I'm a mystic or a creator.
And in doing so, in hiding like that, she is robbing the world. Seth is very stern about this part. He says, in denying life to yourself, you end up by denying life to others. She has people she is meant to help. She has a purpose that is completely unique to this time and this place.
Right.
If she shatters the form, if she quits because she didn't get a husband, all those people she is meant to touch are left without her influence.
It's a wonderful life argument. You don't realize how much you matter to the whole. Your existence isn't just about you.
Exactly. We are part of a web. When one strand cuts itself, the whole web weakens.
Now, I want to pivot here for a second, because Seth doesn't just pick on Pat. He actually turns the spotlight around and points it right at the medium, Jane Roberts.
Yeah.
Which I love, because it shows this isn't just a lecture for a stranger, it's a lecture for the channeler, too.
This is a crucial moment in the session because it humanizes the medium. It shows that this is a universal human struggle, not just Pat's specific dysfunction. Seth starts talking about Rupert, which is his name for Jane.
And Jane had her own ultimatum, didn't she?
She absolutely did. Before she discovered her psychic abilities, Jane was incredibly determined to be a famous writer, a respected novelist, and a poet. Seth says she had set a condition. He says he would be a novelist and a poet, or he would not operate naturally.
Or he would not operate natural. So she was doing the exact same thing. Make me a famous writer, or I'm going to drag my feet through life. She was on a creative strike.
Seth notes that she slowed himself down by setting these rigid limits. She was putting the brakes on her own vitality because the specific form of her success hadn't appeared yet.
And the irony, of course, the massive irony, is that she did become a world-famous writer, but not in the way she expected at all. She became famous for writing the Seth books.
Yeah, exactly. If she had stuck stubbornly to her condition, if she had said, I will only write fiction, I will only do poetry, I reject this channeling thing, she would have missed her true destiny entirely. She had to drop the condition to find the fulfillment. She had to let the energy take the shape it wanted to take, not the shape she demanded.
That is a massive lesson for anyone listening. You might think you know what you want. You might think, I need to be a director of marketing by age 30, or I need to marry a guy who looks like a Hemsworth. But if you grip that vision too tightly, you might completely miss the fact that you're meant to be, I don't know, a landscape architect, or Marry a short accountant who makes you laugh every single day.
The universe has a much better imagination than we do. That's the core takeaway here. Surrender isn't giving up, it's opening up to better options.
Seth also uses a biological analogy here that really blew my mind when I read it. He talks about our cells.
Yes, this is brilliant. He says, if every cell set up the conditions of its own existence, you would not have a body.
Just imagine your liver cells going, you know what? I'm not working today unless we get pizza. And honestly, I want to be a brain cell. If I can't be a brain cell, I quit.
The body would collapse instantly. The cells accept their function, they accept their place in the whole. They trust that by being the best liver cell they can be, they are contributing to the miracle of life. We, as conscious humans, are the only part of nature that tries to go on strike.
It's the ego again. The liver doesn't have an ego. The liver just works.
Right. And Seth is telling us to find that same organic acceptance, to trust that we are part of a larger body, a larger purpose, even if we can't see the whole picture from where we are sitting. We need to trust our own biology, our own spirit, exactly the way a cell trusts the body.
Now, despite how heavy and philosophical this all sounds, there is actually a surprising amount of humor in this session. Seth isn't just a doom and gloom prophet. He makes a pretty funny joke about his own personality.
This is the bedside manner segment. It's so good. So Seth recommends that Pat contact a spiritual healer named Edwards.
Right, a cosmic referral.
But he feels the need to explain why he's outsourcing this. He admits, very frankly, I am a teacher. He's not a healer in the traditional soothing sense.
He says Edwards has a bedside manner, you see, that I unfortunately seem to lack.
It's a moment of great self-deprecation. Here is this multidimensional entity effectively apologizing for being a bit of a jerk.
Basically saying, sorry I yelled at you about the flower analogy and called you a toddler. Go see Edwards. He's much nicer.
He admits he can be harsh, even though he speaks with immense love and compassion. He knows his delivery is fast, emphatic, and intense. He recognizes that sometimes a human touch, someone gentle and patient, is what is actually needed to heal the fragile layers of the personality.
It's funny, but it's also really touching. It shows that Seth understands human fragility, even if he doesn't possess it himself. He knows Pat is hurting. He just refuses to let her wallow in the hurt.
He's the coach who yells at you to get up off the mat, but then make sure you have a really good doctor to look at your knee afterward. He knows his role perfectly. He's the truth teller, not the handholder.
Totally. So let's talk about the physical toll of this session. Because this wasn't just a casual evening chat in the living room. This was high-voltage energy coming through Jane.
The notes from Robert Butts are fascinating here. He mentions that the session only ended because his fingers were physically exhausted from writing so fast. Seth was speaking at a rapid-fire pace for a long time.
And what about Jane?
Jane was wiped out. She describes feeling literally pinned to the couch. Even during the short break they took, she couldn't fully snap out of the trance. She told Robert she was half and half.
She said, he's keeping me under during the break. That is spooky.
It speaks to the absolute intensity of the message. This wasn't a standard philosophical lecture. This was an intervention. Seth was pouring so much energy into Pat via Jane and Robert that it practically warped the room.
Robert notes that afterwards they both felt a strong lassitude. Just total heavy exhaustion.
And time distortion. They were surprised it was still relatively early in the evening because it felt like they had been through a mental marathon.
It makes complete sense. If you are channeling a cosmic truth bomb about the fundamental nature of existence and snapping someone out of a suicidal ultimatum, it's going to burn some calories. It's psychic heavy lifting.
Absolutely.
So bringing it all home, synthesizing all of this, what is the ultimate lesson for Pat and by extension for all of us listening?
The ultimate lesson is that surrender is the path to victory. Seth promises her that if she drops the conditions, her life will be more joyful than she can imagine.
More joyful than she can imagine. That is a massive promise from an entity that doesn't exaggerate.
But the key is, the demand must drain away like sand between the fingers. You can't just pretend to drop it while secretly still hoping for the husband. You have to really, truly let it go. You have to look at your life exactly as it is right now, single, married, rich, poor, whatever, and say, this is enough. I accept this.
Acceptance is grace.
That is the core frequency of this entire session.
It's so counterintuitive to how we live. We are taught to fight for what we want, fight the universe, fight the odds. But Seth is saying, you are actually fighting against yourself. Stop fighting and let the vitality flow.
And remember, he didn't say she wouldn't get married. That's a huge point. He said she wouldn't get married while she held it as a condition. Once the condition is gone, the blockage is gone.
It's the classic irony of desire. You get it as soon as you truly stop needing it to survive.
Precisely.
God, that is frustratingly true.
It is the great cosmic joke.
Okay, let's start to wrap this up. We have covered a lot of ground today. We've gone from a lonely woman in Boston to the nature of cellular biology to the ego.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. And if you want to really dig into this, and we strongly encourage you to, because we were just scratching the surface here, you need to go to the source material. This deep dive was based on session 440.
Yes. And this material is credited to the Seth Material and the publisher New Awareness Network.
Please go visit the New Awareness Network website and bookstore at sethcenter.com/the early sessions. Buy the books. Read them. They are dense, they are challenging, and they will absolutely change your life.
They really are the manual for being human that we never got in school.
Exactly. Now, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. A little homework for your soul as you go about your day.
Seth asked Pat a very direct, piercing question. He said, "Who are you to threaten vitality and life?"
So ask yourself today, what conditions have you placed on your own happiness? What is the thing you are waiting for before you allow yourself to really live? And what would happen right now in this exact moment if you just dropped them?
If you just decided to exist fully and joyfully without the condition.
Think about it. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Wait, actually, before we completely go, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier. The bedside manner thing. I feel like we breezed past how structurally funny that actually is.
It is genuinely hilarious. You really have to imagine the context. Seth is this booming, authoritative voice. He's lecturing on the fundamental nature of reality. And then he pauses to essentially say, look, I know I'm a lot to handle.
I know I'm a lot. That is exactly the vibe. And it makes me think about how we receive advice in our own lives. Sometimes the truth is incredibly harsh. Seth describes himself as a teacher, not a healer. What's the distinction there in your mind, practically speaking?
I think a healer, at least in the way Seth means it here, referring to Mr. Edwards, is someone who patches you up. They soothe the wound. They make you feel safe enough to recover. A teacher challenges you. A teacher points directly at the wound and says, why is that there? What did you do to cause that? Stop doing that.
Right. The healer gives you the painkiller. The teacher makes you do the painful physical therapy.
Exactly. And Pat desperately needed the physical therapy. But Seth was self-aware enough to know that after the surgery of this session, and it really was psychic surgery, she might need some gentle aftercare that he just wasn't equipped to provide.
It shows a level of collaboration in the spirit world that I find really comforting. Like, Seth isn't saying, I am the ultimate and only way. He's saying, I'm the guy for the hard truth. Go see Edwards for the soft touch.
It's a network. Just like we have doctors and therapists and personal trainers here, the non-physical world has specialists too.
I love that. Cosmic specialists.
Yeah.
Okay, I also wanted to touch on one more thing before we truly sign off. The shattering the form imagery.
Yes.
You mentioned it's like a child throwing a glass. But there's a deeper layer there that Seth gets into. He talks about the spontaneity and joyful burst that is your inner self. He describes the energy that went into making us as something that sings within your being like the first morning of creation.
It's beautiful, beautiful poetry.
It is. And it highlights the ultimate tragedy, the ultimatum. We're these walking miracles. Literally, billions of years of evolution, cosmic energy, consciousness, all wrapped up in this amazing body. And we look in the mirror and say, I'm garbage because I'm single.
It's a profound failure of perspective. We are zooming in on one tiny pixel of a high-definition image and screaming that the whole picture is broken because that one pixel isn't the color we wanted.
Dead pixel. Throw the whole TV away.
Exactly. Seth is trying to zoom Pat out. He's trying to show her the whole magnificent tapestry. He's saying, look at the colors. Look at the pattern. You are focusing on one loose thread.
And that loose thread obsession, Seth calls it the condition. I think that's a phrase I'm going to carry with me for a long time. The condition. It sounds ominous.
It should. It's a prison.
It really is. A prison of our own making.
Yeah.
And the door is totally unlocked. That's the kicker. The door is unlocked. We just have to decide to turn the handle and walk out.
We just have to decide that the air outside is worth breathing, even if it's not the specific temperature we requested.
I requested 72 degrees and a light breeze.
And instead, it's raining. But the rain is life.
Damn. The rain is life. You're good at this.
Well, I try.
Okay, seriously though, this session 440, is an absolute masterclass in perspective. It's not just about Pat. It's about all of us.
It is. Every time I read it, I find a new corner of my own life where I'm secretly setting conditions.
Same. I'm thinking about my own ultimatums right now. Like, if this deep dive doesn't get X number of listeners, I'm a failure.
Careful, don't threaten vitality.
I won't. I accept the listeners we have. I accept you, listener.
Yeah.
You are enough.
That's the spirit.
See? I'm learning. Okay, one last time on the credits, because it's so important to support the source. New Awareness Network, SethCenter.com. Go there.
It's an absolute treasure trove.
And hey, if you're listening to this and you feel like you're just waiting for your real life to start, just remember the flower. Just bloom where you are.
The sun will find you.
The sun will find you. I love that. All right, for real this time, thank you for diving deep with us.
Be well, everyone.
Catch you on the next wave.